Hi, welcome back to this video series. We're installing and configuring the Centrify App Access app into ServiceNow. This requires that you already have federated with Centrify and have implemented provisioning and role management. At this point, you have either obtained the App Access application from the store and you have it installed. We're going to do some configuration. But prior to do this, we want to do a sanity check. In the first video, we created a service account. I just want to make sure that the account isn't challenged with a additional challenge when logging in. So I'm going to go ahead and do an incognito window, and I'm going to try to log in. So I'm going to use this account and the password. This is a good sanity check step because you want to make sure that application to application authentication is going to work, right? So everything looks good here. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. And in the Centrify App Access, we have several sections here. We have the dashboard. We have getting started that will jump into the Centrify documentation. The documentation provides information on how to set this up. So in the dashboard, you can see the current requests, no requests because it's not configured. Any applications that might have been synchronized. So the way this works is it'll actually go into Identity Service and it'll sync the applications that are eligible for self-service requests, right? Also, it'll synchronize the roles that are allowed to use those applications so it can do the role management. So most of the action is going to happen here in the Centrify App Access properties. Notice that we have the ability to set up a URL, a service account, a password, and other optional things like default approval groups. Notice that also it's possible that you may be in the wrong context, right? So we want to make sure that we are in the Identity Centrify App Access application. You could do this by going to the gears on the upper right corner, go to developer, and then switch to Centrify App Access. So this will actually switch the context for you. Okay, so there you go. So now we can edit this. I'm going to use obviously my URL, right? So this is the URL for your tenant, right? This is one of my demo tenants. And the service account is actually this one right here, which we already tested before. And then we need to provide a password, right? So it's SN service at bootcamp. And a password. We're not going to configure this. We're going to do an appendix to talk about this. Default approval groups is if you're doing automatic approvals. So I'm going to go ahead and press save. Once I press save, it's going to try and authenticate and validate. One of the things that you could do is look at the dashboards here, right? And if you know, you should be able to see some of the. Let's look at the security overview. So in here, you should see some API logins, right? So showing up soon. So the next thing that we need to do is configure API synchronization, right? And all we need to do is activate it, right? And set up the, you know, what is going to be the frequency where, you know, the synchronization of the applications and roles is going to happen, right? In this case, I'm going to set up a daily, right? And what I can do is update it and execute now. So once I execute now, it's going to trigger that. Notice that you have the option to set these things to happen on demand as well. So let me go ahead and execute now, right? And so notice also you have the ability to customize the catalog item. Right, so the way this works is you're going to go to the self-service catalog, right? You can modify this, you can give it a price to it, right? You can change the logo and all that stuff, right? And finally, there's logs, right? So you have the ability to, you know, see the logs and see what's going on here. In this case, I can verify that it's actually synchronized already all my roles. So the roles that you see here correspond to the roles that are in Identity Service, right? So it starts with AD users, right, and finishes with System as Administrator. So you go AD users and all that stuff, right? And I can also look at, for example, applications as well. So these are the applications that are eligible for access request. And this is all also configured now. So in the next video, we'll just do some testing to make sure that things are working as expected.